Sport never ceases to amaze me, especially since, and I'm not going to talk about this, but COVID, players that have been here for a long time are still playing college football. The transfer portal is living live and well. We will talk about that here tonight. John Emery enters the portal. Joe Big Hoss Cryer, the true freshman who was an early enrollee who should still be a high school senior, it also enters the transfer portal. We'll talk about that as well here tonight. I will finally give you some legitimate thoughts on what I think is going on with the defensive tackle room. We'll get into that. We got to preview a little bit about LSU baseball versus Nichols. Don't sleep on this midweek game because I don't think Nichols is as bad as some people think that they are. Just going to throw that out there, but we'll talk about that before we get out of here tonight. Brian Kelly. So 2 Rufino's rants will go on. One will be about Mickey Loomis at the end of the show, and another will be about Brian Kelly. Well, what's Blake going to talk about? It's actually really good. Brian Kelly, in my opinion, gave arguably the best interview of his LSU tenure today on the Colin Cowherd Show. We'll break that down. Basically, Brian Kelly gave you the top 3 answers that you want to know about the LSU football program. It was to Colin Cowherd, regardless of what you believe of him or your opinion of him, arguably asked him the best questions that generated the best answers from your head coach. So we'll talk about that here tonight. I thought, look, there's some things that he said that I thought were eye-opening in his expectations of the program moving forward. So we'll get into that as well. So lots and lots to get to. So obviously we've moved the show up the last 2 days. Yes. I got to brag on him. My man Ben went 2 for 2 last night and drove in 3 runs. I'm not saying that he is going to be the best baseball player of all time, but what I'm saying is I am one happy dad. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for hanging in on some of the adjusted times. Now, when football season starts, we will not be adjusting those time frames. We will be in the right time frame. But regardless, I am glad to be here with you. I'm glad you are joining us. So tons and tons we got to get to here. Let's get to a couple of your comments. Big J. Cole says, where are the DTs? Show me the DTs. Here's what I'll say. I do think that there's got to be a little bit of calmness. I do see a lot of your panic. Calm yourselves. Okay? RELAX. Now, every time that I've told you to RELAX, historically about 95%, I'm trying to send you a hint. Relax. Relax. These things aren't going to move as quickly as you want them to. You know, I mean, it's like being on a diet. When you're trying to lose weight, you're not going to lose 100 pounds overnight, 50, 20 pounds overnight. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. And that is what LSU football is doing. I do feel good where they are. I will continue to tell you, I feel good where they are at. Can they close will be the ultimate question. Big J Cole says, I am calm. I am calm. It wouldn't. Your question just sparked me of what I've been. Guys, again, I could show you. You wouldn't believe me. But let's count the outside of friends today that send me stuff on Twitter. Because like Carter sent me something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to count that because that was last night at like 12:02. 10 people have DM'd today asking about defensive tackles. So calm yourselves. What are they doing? Blake, what are they doing? What the fuck are they doing? Calm down. Probably shouldn't have been saying the F word. I forget we're not at night. So, yes, indeed. Ray Powell says, was John Emery still on scholarship? He was. We'll talk about him. Lance says, what's up, Big Blake? And hell yeah, kid got a good swing. Yeah, Ben's got a really good swing. I tell you, man, he's obsessed with baseball. I mean, obviously we cover other sports. Because we're doing a lot of stuff here and he's around me all the time, a lot of sports are on. Football, I mean, I'm sure when he gets older, he'll talk, want to play a little bit of football. He is obsessed. Guys, I'm serious. Like, obsessed. Let me tell you what the kid did when he came home today. He came home. He doesn't eat lunch at school because he's very picky. He ate a snack, okay? We played baseball for about about a solid 45 minutes. Then when we were done and I had to start getting ready for this, he was watching baseball on his iPad. You want to know what he watches all day, every day, 24/7? The kid literally rewatches every Little League World Series. He watches baseball games on his iPad. And I just tell Megan, hey, I mean, it's not like he's watching cartoons on YouTube or something. I mean, he's watching baseball. When I'm telling you this kid is obsessed, the kid is obsessed. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Don't tell him this, but me and my brother are going to be taking him to a Braves game in late May. So looking forward to that. I'm sure he's gonna love it. Andrew says, I hope we can land 2 or 3 of these defensive linemen that's in the portal. I will continue at the current moment to stand where I stand. Do I think you can land 2? I'm gonna reword something I said on Monday. Do I think you can? Yes. Do I think it's plausible? No. I think that you're going to have to do what you need to do. I will be the first to come out here and say what a haul that they got in the portal. And I hope that guys, and I tell you this all the time, nobody wants them to get the 2 top, the Williams kid and Barrow more than I do. Because again, when they have success, I make more money. Guys like me make more money when they are successful. So I am telling you, I want them to. I just want to be a little bit realistic. And can they? Yes. Will they? Will be the question. They got to close. They have to close. All right, ISIS, I'm not dealing with you today. Come on, man. Anthony says, ask Blake, with the departure of John Emery, would almost mean we have to add a running back via the portal, huh? I mean, they're not offering anybody. So, I mean, they've talked to one person. They haven't offered anybody. So, I don't know. Do I think that they need one? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. David says, starting that early with baseball, maybe early signs of a pro in the future. I don't know about that, man. I just want him to have fun. All I care about Ben right now is him having fun. Look, and everybody talks about their kid, man. I'm just excited for him that he's having fun. But the kid can play a little bit. The kid can play. I just want him to have fun. But again, all we do is baseball. That's all he wants to do. So I'm like, okay, man. All right. Candace Wynn says, hope we can't have a repeat of last year defensively. We're not going to. I still think I'm still high on Blake Baker, very high. MSU fans seem to think that Harmon is better than Barrow. Potentially. When it comes to them, though, I always take with a grain of salt sometimes when teams say something about a kid, because I watched Barrow's film and he stuck out more than anybody else. And he stuck out for what we need. Can he rush the passer, get some pressure on a quarterback? Yes. We need somebody that can stop the run. You can't stop the run right now. Not in the interior. That's the only thing that I want him to do. Joe says Texas is big on the Williams kid from TCU. That they are. And look, you got to hope that you can land. I will tell you, man, and I will continue to tell you this. If you think that high school recruiting is wild, the portal is wilder when it comes to money. Who's going to spend for who? Who's going to do what? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? So, yeah. And I do think that there's a defensive lineman that entered the portal today that's made some moves already this offseason that LSU will kick the tires on. I feel pretty confident in Tyler Barron that LSU is going to kick the tires on that, and let's see what happens. The edge rusher from Tennessee, but been a little injured, been a little bit nicked up, so we'll see there. But I do think that they'll do their due diligence there as well. All right, a couple more, then we get rolling. Anthony says, hopefully that means Billy will be able to see the field this year. Who's Billy? I'm nervous with the current depth at running back. Who do you mean by Billy? Keep teaching, Dad. You're doing great. I'm trying, man. I'm just trying not to get overexcited. I mean, the ball wound up going to the fence, and so here's the thing with Ben, man. He's mad that he's got to hit off a tee. And I get it, man. So many people talk about their kids. And I will tell you, here's a big pet peeve of mine. A big pet peeve of mine is, and I'm not saying this, so whatever, is when like adults have kids in high school and they're like, hey, can you send this to Jay Johnson? And their kid's like 5'9", 227 pounds, and the kid is slower than the molasses and Christmas in North Dakota during an ice storm. So, no, I'm not going to send it. And I think you need to start being realistic. And, you know, it is what it is. I hope everybody's child has success. But, come on. All right, one more. C. King says, how can Harmon be better than Barrow when the stats don't reflect it? That's why, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in reference to I take things with a grain of salt. Let me give an example. This is going to be petty. Texas A&M fans with Denver Harris. Like, I think that there was a lot of people that, still thought that he was really good there. And then when he went to LSU, they started clowning him. But sometimes you got to take things with a grain of salt. All right. Christian says, would give Blake a super chat, but had to block Apple from charging my card. Too many subscriptions that I don't know what they are. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I end up with some of those too. Don't know. Never know where they're coming from. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups on Facebook. Look, share. I know C. King was in here. He's got the Talking Tigers group on Facebook. Y'all go on there always. Now, look, if you want real conversations go on in there. Share to all those groups. Share to all your social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. We got a lot of football, a lot of baseball to talk about. Let's get it to it. Let's do that now. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. We're back.
All right. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. So today, obviously, there was some news regarding the transfer portal and regarding LSU. Now, I will admit, I do think, and when these started coming through, they're a little bit interesting. And I understand what your mindset is when you see the pair of guys that entered the transfer portal from LSU today. John Emery, the running back from Destrehan, going into his 6th year, entered the transfer portal as a grad transfer. There was a lot of people telling me that he had redshirted in specific years. The only time that I remember, obviously, John Emery never playing more than 4 games would have been in 2021, the year that he set out, which means that Ed Orgeron had to have done the young man a massive favor that when he was academically ineligible, he took a red shirt and now is using the COVID year that he got in 2021 to continue his football legacy. Now, in reference to John Emery, look, his time at LSU was very up and down, vastly up and down. There were a lot of times that he showed immense talent. I think that there were times that he showed that why people had him as a 5-star running back and on 247 was the number one running back in the country, was actually the number 11 recruit in the country that year. The score against Alabama, actually multiple scores against Alabama. He scored the first touchdown, if you remember, in 22 on that little wheel route from Jane Daniels where he goes up the sideline. It's actually was this one. I think we put it in our cover art today, but look at Shaq. Look at Shaq's big ass. But the one that he went down the sideline and would score on the wheel route from Jaden Daniels. But the inconsistencies, the academic issues, the reasoning behind the academic issues that the NCAA investigated that wind up not coming to bear in his favor. And look, I was very open and honest about John Emery, and it was very open and honest about John Emery the second time when he got academically ineligible at LSU. Like, okay, one time, shame on you, shame on me, meaning LSU. Twice, shame on you. So a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of up and downs. This, I do think, should tell people, don't always freak out about not landing the 5-star, especially here. You're going to have probably a top 5, top 6 wide receiver, and they won't tell you this, but you and I remember this because we watch recruiting. But Malik Neighbors was a 3-star until he committed to LSU all those times. He didn't play his senior year in high school. That means nothing. I remember a guy and Dwight McLaughlin that lost his 5th star because he refused to go to 247's, whatever you call it. That was at least the excuse at the time by the reporters who put out the publishing of Dwight McLaughlin. And so, look, I thank John Emery for all that he has done here. I mean, look, there's been times of really good stuff and times of really, really bad stuff. So in 2021, he takes the red shirt, and good on Ed Orgeron and company for doing him a solid on that one. And then in 2020, obviously having the COVID year and the free year there as well. So, I mean, I will be real with you. Didn't really come to light to me because I guess him having the torn ACL and just not thinking that he would be eligible here any longer. He is, and he was, I'm assuming, told to move on because they got to make some room here. And I don't think that they want to continue down the John Emery train. The second one today was Joe Big Hoss Cryer from, I'll just say Manny, because that's where he spent most of his time in his career. Very interesting. And because the kid is an early enrollee, and either the writing was on the wall or LSU just saw that maybe the kid can't play here. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I do wish Big Hoss success in his career. He's always been good to us, always been nice to us. Yes, sir. No, sir. Look, man, unless it's the kid's decision, I don't agree with processing early enrollees, nor do I agree with letting them walk. We got to come to a place where, man, you need to stay somewhere and get developed. Now, are there other issues in play here? I don't know. I've heard a couple of things. I don't know, but it's very unfortunate. However, I don't know how much the kid would have played here, and that is the sad truth. Cohen Eccles committing, I think so, and playing center solidified what most believe as who's going to be the center behind DJ Chester and is the future. So, unfortunately, I don't think Big Hoss would have played here. And I don't mean that in any wrong way. So, guys, they continue to open up. They continue to show that they're opening up space for not just multiple DTs, but, guys, you're opening up enough space to where if you want to go get somebody else and another position that you really think that you need, running back, you can do it. I don't think you're done in the portal. Like I during this time, guys, when I'm on a show and I can't look at my phone the whole time or I can't do this, I'm constantly refreshing things. We got the phone text line here and we got Twitter right here because things are always happening. Do I expect more news about the portal or a medical retirement? Yes, I do. I 100% do. And it all is based off of one position, the position that you've been worst in. And we've talked about this the last 3 days, and we'll continue to talk about it until it's into the fruition of what LSU needs. Bottom line, I do feel better, and I'm starting to feel better about where you're at that position. Now, I do think that Brian Kelly is doing things behind the scenes that people don't know about. We live in a world where NIL has become a big thing. And I think Brian Kelly gets labeled something in recruiting that isn't always accurate. So I'm just going to give you a God's honest truth here. And you know this. The portal, majority of the time, where can I play? Who's got the most money? And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Barrow has just been on a visit. You'll get C.J. Weston on a visit. You'll get Williams from TCU in on a visit, you hope. And you got more guys that are in the portal. Tyler Barron hitting the portal. What goes on with him? Do you get involved there? So, bottom line, you are seeing and understanding what LSU is going after. Guys, LSU, regardless of what Brian Kelly has said in media time or post-practice press conferences, guys, there's a potential they could take 3 or 4, and if they do, that should tell you everything that you need to know or what they believe or what Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples believes about this defensive line. And I think the writing's on the wall. So I say all that to say I am, from an overall perspective, some things that I'm hearing, am starting to feel a little bit more confident. I will caution, when it comes to the portal, you got to be able to close. And the way that you close in today's world, you know what walks and you know what talks. I will leave it there. So, can you close will be the ultimate question. They have done it multiple times. They will continue to do it. And LSU, from when they've needed something, has not been barren when it comes to, pun intended, when it comes to needing money. When they need it, they'll get it. I think that you can see on social media today that a 5-star recruit signed his first NIL deal while being a new defensive tackle at LSU. So, again, I will continue to tell you, you're not behind. You may be a little bit unorganized, but I think Brian Kelly is starting to get some things rolling there. Okay. Let me get to this before I get to some comments here. I actually hadn't looked at them, but just in case that we need to. Let me say this very quickly. Yeah, I was high on Big Hoss. I just don't, after seeing him, I don't think he could play here. And that's my fault, and that's my misevaluation. And I will wear it. That's on me. Guys, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I thought he could play center here when he got here. But see, here's the problem with that, Chili. I also could be wrong on being wrong. Am I gonna go based off of a semester of the kid who's supposed to be a senior in high school? Right? Like, we don't give him any grace whatsoever to develop. Now, if the kid winds up somewhere and then comes back, I do think that that's very plausible. I do think the kid could go to a lower level and then come back, get some reps, get some experience. He needs to get bigger, stronger, and faster, or quicker. He's got to get stronger now. So does Cohen Eccles. So it is what it is. All right, let me get to this, because I got to get to Rufino's rants, because this is revolving football and revolving Brian Kelly. Now, let me preface this by saying I don't care what your feelings are about Colin Cowherd, but he had an interview today with Brian Kelly that I thought was very, very good. Now, either Colin Cowherd was asking very good questions or Brian Kelly was more open. I think Cowherd, who is arguably one of the best in the business, framed questions to Brian Kelly about the draft, but I'm not really worried about the draft. Look, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., we know what we know. He said what he needed to say, and he is correct in the things that he said. But Brian Kelly was asked about being in the SEC and this year's football team. The question that Colin Cowherd posed to Brian Kelly, and why I do think it's a big deal, was this. Brian, 10 wins at LSU isn't enough. And what do you need to do moving forward? And also what Colin Cowherd framed it as to Brian Kelly, and you'd have to go listen to it, is, Brian, you had SEC level depth at the end of your tenure at Notre Dame. What's going on at LSU? Basically, he was asking, hey, you had to have a really good, really big rebuild after Orgeron. Where are you right now? You've had a lot of talent, but where are you depth-wise? And Brian Kelly said the following. Look, they gave basically, and I'm paraphrasing to some extent, look, they gave me some grace, but when the roster when I got here just simply wasn't good enough. You have to build your roster better, and I do think now we're in a far better place than we were when I got here. I agree with him. But he continues, and I think that this is very key. He says, now the time is going into year 3, we need to compete for a playoff spot. What Brian Kelly is telling you is, I understand and have heard and hear you in reference to playoff or bust. I think that Brian Kelly can lead you there. I still have a lot of faith in him to lead you there. I don't think that he gets the credit that he deserves in how bad the roster was into where it is. Because, and we've talked about this, him winning the West in year 1 put him in an unfair place. What I will say is, him saying that on the Herd today validates to me he knows exactly what needs to be done. It also validates me, if you get there, good, you hit your goal. Secondly, if you don't get there, you're underachieving on your goal. So I think he understands that. I think that he also understands and has seen, listen, I do think that we're probably and arguably a position away from being in that mix, being in that 12 mix, actually 11 mix, because one group of 5 teams is going to get in, and it's unfair. The context of what put it all together for me and solidifying that being exactly what he was saying was this. Cowherd would follow up by saying, tell me something good about the transfer portal. And Brian Kelly said this. Some players that cannot play here escape to a better program or another program. He didn't say better, another program where they can play and be developed. However, we can also make our roster better by going and getting kids from lower schools to bring here and make our roster better. I told you last night, and this is not a hypocritical thing from Brian Kelly because he's never really said this. I mean, he's been open about the portal the whole time. So this doesn't really revolve around him. But guys, this is players getting cut, players being processed is really a thing here. And we don't care about it because we want to make our roster better. What he's telling you without telling you, hey, man, we understand that we got to get some DTs and some D linemen in here so that we can have the potential to make the playoff. Going to lower schools, which I think Michigan State is a lower school. TCU is a lower school. Kent State is a lower school. To get some of those guys here so that we can compete in the SEC and make a playoff. I really do believe that it was his most real press conference or / interview that he has done. And it's only 10 minutes. You can go watch it at the end of the show. Well, actually, you can wait until after Rufino and Joe show that comes up at 6. So right immediately following this one, then you can go and watch it. I thought that was really good. Guys, the truth is, and Brian Kelly knows this, it is playoffs or bust. Because you are a place where you need to be in the top 12 every single year. There is no debate. Like, you could say, all right, maybe being in the playoff when it's only 4 teams every year might be, I don't want to say unrealistic, but it's just not going to happen every single year. But now that the playoff is at 12, it better have, if a 12-team playoff happened 10 times, you better make it 7, 8 times. You better make it 7 or 8 times. That is the mantra. And some of you will say you need to make it 10 out of 10 times, and I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I'm trying to give some grace and leeway. Because if you have a massive year like you did in 2019, you have all those guys leave, it could be a massive issue. Understanding where you are, understanding who you are, and understanding the place that you're at is a big deal. And look, he's been around the block for a while now, and he understands it. Guys, we will obviously not right now, but when we start getting, in June and July, and we start, hey, camp is right around the corner. You got USC game 1. How, both teams have new DCs. Both teams have new look defenses. How does Garrett Nussmeier do against a team that he has no idea defensively what they're going to do at him? Now, I'll tell you what they're going to do at him. They're going to blitz him all the live long day. They're not going to sit back on their heels like they did a lot last year with Alex Grinch. By the way, you go to Vegas. Guys, you got to win game 1. And we're going to find out. But this year, your expectation of this program, without question, and look, it's not even my opinion when your head coach is out there saying it. So you can say, oh, well, Blake's just putting this on Brian. No, Brian Kelly went out there and said it. So where do I think you are in that situation and scenario? Here's where I think you are. I think that you are in a place where if you're able to add some interior defensive linemen or more defensive linemen, I could make the argument that if things go your way, you are now a playoff team. You are a top 12 team. And I don't care what these Rudy Poos on these preseason rankings tell you. I would rather them put LSU lower to the bottom. Put them at 7. Put them at 8. Please, dear Lord, put them there. Because every time you do, that's when LSU rises up. You have a lot of talented pieces, and there's a lot of negativity because negativity sells more than positivity. There's a lot of positives around this football team and a lot of really good players on this football team. Do I think that right now you are a 9-win team? You're right there on the brink. Man, I don't know if they can make the playoff. Yeah, because I do think that you have a massive weakness in the interior defensive line room. I do think that defensive line in the interior, when boosted up, can make you a playoff team. Now, you got a lot of questions if you can make a Final Four, make a semifinal, or even make it to a national championship game. That's neither here nor there at the current moment. But, guys, you arguably have the best offensive line in the country. You have one of the best receivers returning, which we'll actually talk about on Rufino and Joe show, and I'm sure Joe will argue me on this with Kyron Lacey. You have some really talented pieces. Caleb Jackson, Garrett Nussmeier. Offensively, I'm just not worried about you. I think that there are things you got to get better at, and we've talked about those in spring. We've talked about the red zone being an issue for Garrett Nussmeier during spring. That's got to be better. And I hear, well, Blake, he's a first-time every down starter. Okay, he's been here 4 years now. 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Wait, hold on. He was here in 2000, right? He was here during COVID. So 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004? Wait, he was here in 2000, right? Maybe I'm the one tripping. Am I tripping? Pretty sure Garrett Nussmeier was here. In 2020. Maybe I'm wrong there. No, 2021. Excuse me. So 21, 22, 23 going into 2024. And got a red shirt. So you could have him for 2 years. That's my fault. All right. Let me get to a couple of these comments before we get to some things. Let me see here. Joe and Tammy says, what's with Ibieta? You think he hits the portal? I don't know if he hits the portal. I mean, the kid's been hurt. I would be interested to see what him and Matthew Langlois do, to be real with you. Two guys that, have been injured and been out of the lineup. What do they do? Now, how do I want to say this about Ibieta? I know that there's a lot of debate about Ibieta when it comes to giving him another year and see how things work and if some things pan out for him. I don't know. And I'm going to tell you I don't know. So we'll see. Todd Davis says, ask Blake, as it stands, would you think LSU makes the playoffs next year? As it stands at this exact moment, without defensive tackles, no. I would think either – I probably shouldn't say no. I lean towards you missing by a game. However, I do think that you will make the playoff can make the playoff once you add some pieces. So we'll see. Maurice says, yeah, I don't think you're wrong, Blake. I think Big Hoss just knew he was about to be buried on the depth chart, already have a top guard, a young center, and more forecasted coming right behind him, plus that room now. Look, I might have been wrong. I mean, I saw him this spring, didn't think that he I just didn't think he was good enough to play here at the current moment, and it doesn't mean anything. I'm saying what I saw. Now, a guy like Brad Davis has to forecast. I'm not a weatherman. I don't forecast anything. If you want somebody to forecast the future for you, go ask Dr. Josh Eaches over at WBRZ. That's not my field. That's not what I do. To when it comes to saying a kid should move on. Now, we forecast in a lot of other different areas, but I'm just a talking head giving an opinion. I wish when kids come here that they're given time to develop. I really do. I think that's rough, man. It's very, very rough. Christian says that if Sage Ryan is starting, we are cooked, Blake. Straight fish grease. Yeah, look. I know a lot of people like Sage Ryan in that building. And look, I took a lot of hate. A lot of people think I hate Sage Ryan. It's not true. It's not true. But I got 2 corners running cover 2 in a spring game. 2 of them. And I will challenge that shit with any of you. I guarantee you to come put it up on the screen here and let's walk through it. Please, dear Lord. I'll even buy you some lunch to come over here and do it. Doesn't bother me any. So, you're not good enough right now in the secondary. You're going to have to mask some things. Where I think you are good is with a lot of young talent, and I don't know if how much you're going to play that young talent. But you're highly inexperienced, and inexperienced guys make bad plays. Unexperienced plays. You got to take it for what it's worth. Dylan says, why are we going after Rashada? I don't think Jaden Rashada makes it out of Georgia. And here's what LSU does pretty famously. And I would not characterize it as going after. Here's what I would characterize it as. You always kick the tires on everything to see level of interest, to see what you can make of it. You never know what can happen. Look, it's like my grandpappy told me one time. You strike out with 100% of the girls that you don't ask out on a date, right? Like if you don't go up to the pretty girl at school, or if you don't go up to the pretty girl at work, or if you don't go up to the pretty girl at the bar and you don't ask her out, ask her for a number, start chit-chatting, she's going to tell you no, or she's not going to say anything. You don't know what you don't know. It's the answer will always be no until you go and ask. And recruiting is a lot like pursuing a woman. It's probably not the best way to characterize that, but it's the truth. Always kick the tires. I would bet a lot of money that Jaden Rashada, unless things completely break off and somebody offers the kid a ridiculous amount of money, that he doesn't stay in Georgia. I think that's the best place for him. Is that Blue Store lunch? Yes, it is. Moist, good to see you. Says back in the 256 joint base Lewis McCord, Washington. Good to have you in here, Moist. Hope your dad's doing better. Ray Powell says, is it Blue Store? I'll get you Blue Store. And I'll sit here and walk and show you that, guys, it wasn't cover 3. You know what? You can disagree with me. You can say I hate a kid. Here's what bothers the shit out of me is you guys coming in here and saying, well, Blake hates the kid. I don't hate the kid. I don't hate any kid on that team. There's only 2 kids or 2 players that I've ever quote unquote hated or disliked. And I didn't even hate, but disliked when they said something, about my family, whatever, me and my family, whatever. Yeah, when you do that, and by the way, one of those kids just throwing this out there, one of those kids was one of the ones trashing Jaden Daniels' locker at Arizona State. And a lot of y'all use that to say, well, look, his teammates didn't like him. Yeah, a kid that got kicked off and kicked out of here because of how bad of a human being he is. So, yeah. All right. Oh, I do got another Rufino's rants here. Let me say this, because tomorrow and Thursday are going to be pretty hectic. LSU is going to have 3 guys in the NFL draft. They're going to get selected in the first round. Obviously, you know them, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. I think all of them are going to be high selections. I don't know if what the Saints will do as an example, but I do know this. It's not a bad idea to go after a Brian Thomas or a Brock Bowers if you're the Saints. I think the Saints are going to go for a tackle, and that's unfortunate. But, spinning this to an LSU perspective, what's funny? Now, I know that Brian Kelly didn't recruit all of these kids, and I know that he didn't completely or was there all the years to develop them. It's funny. There is a potential that Brian Kelly has coached or recruited or both, that 4 of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft have had a season in college football where Brian Kelly was their head coach or was recruited by Brian Kelly. Joe Alt, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. 4 of the potential top 5. That's elite. Brian Kelly gets labeled a lot of different things. The one thing that we don't talk about him enough is being a developer. What the problem or the issue is, we look at just last year alone. We're so front-sided. We're so nearsighted to the fact that what did you do for me last year? But then we don't look at all the other years that someone has coached, recruited, developed. Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Jaden Daniels. Guys, that's 4 of the top 15 picks, or 5 of the top 15, 4 or 5 of the top 15 picks. Maybe my numbers are being screwed up. But the bottom line is, guys, that's Saban level shit. That's Urban Meyer level shit. Throwing this out there, if you remember correctly, Urban Meyer in that 2020 draft at one time had Chase Young, Joe Burrow, and Jeff Okudah, who went 1, 2, and 3, who were all on the same team at one time. Still didn't win a national title. And that's Urban. Some people think Urban was overrated. I don't think that Urban was overrated. I think he was a really damn good coach. And no, I see this in here. Is Bo Pelini, will the secondary be Bo Pelini bad? No. And Darren, you know what? I could go on a whole Rufino's rants about this. The people that know. The people that don't need to hush. Bo Pelini should take far less criticism than he does. Let me tell you why. Why did the defense not change after Bo Pelini was the DC at LSU? Oh. Because Orgeron was making them do specific things? Oh. You blame the man a lot. Oh, he was bad this, he was bad that. It's ironic how his defense has completely changed from Nebraska to Youngstown State, and from Youngstown State, from those 2 stops, why wasn't he running the same exact stuff that he's been running over the last 20 years to that point? Oh, That's because his head coach the next year was running the same shit. And by the way, you know who was on that Bo Pelini staff, don't you? Corey Raymond. Derek Stingley got hurt. This guy got hurt. This guy left. This guy didn't, But the secondary is still not great. All right, let me get to a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay with us.
By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Foss has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Still think Jaden Daniels is going number 2. The question is, who's going to be there at number 2 to take him? Let me wrap up with this because we got Ruffino and Joe show in just about 7 minutes. So I'm going to have to get out of here for AYS a little bit quicker than we normally do. LSU Baseball takes on Nichols tonight. Oh, by the way, every time we talk baseball, it's brought to you by our good friends over at the Athletic Collection. All of your LSU gear, stickers, posters, they got it. Go over to the Athletic Collection today. Use that promo code AYS. You get 20% off. I just want to see more consistency. I want to see the same, pretty much around same lineup. Now, I am sure that they have already pulled up the lineup or put up the lineup. Yeah, here it is. Kling, Larson, White, Jones, Pearson, Travinsky, Braswell, Milam, Milazzo, and Cade Anderson will be on the mound tonight. Exactly what you want to see. As Skip always said, you want to find your best 15 before, or best 15, your best 9 by tax day, and this is going to be the same exact lineup you're probably going to see continue to be run out there. So I will just say this. I think Nichols is better than some people give him credit for, and don't take this mid-game or midweek game lightly. With that being said, I'm going to be looking forward to it, and we got about 35 minutes until it starts. We will be there watching it with you as well. Until then, we will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Actually, you know what? Go over to the Ruffino and Joe show. I think a very strong debate is about to break out over there. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow on AYS. Y'all have a good one. Peace.